Okay, so it's
or in,
in.
going into the trench drain.
And which way does this go?
This goes underneath,
Yeah,
it's ditched underneath.
Yeah.
Into the manhole, and this one is the same, and it's all washed rock here. And then it goes underground down here,
to the pond, oh, okay, that's what I was
To the
wondering.
lake.
Okay,
and it runs all winter. There's water there.
Yeah, it's directly into the lake.
Well, not exactly, that's what environment wanted though, you know,
yeah,
but I think they're offline. But so it goes into a pond and then filters through a sand berm into the lake, so that's how that one works.
Okay.
but it essentially outlets into
the-
essentially,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, no, that's great to know, see, and this is the kind of thing we were hoping to get a little bit more info on, to find out just stuff we can't see from the LiDAR, or that we wouldn't necessarily know to look for if we go out and survey.
Yeah, and you can call me anytime and I'll
Yeah.
give you the history and the locations of things.
Mhm. Yeah, thanks.
And the other one down at Pheasant Terrace,
Which one is better?
it's Rose Way behind.
Oh, Earl's Way, yep. Earl's Way one is. Here.
So that one has we have a utility easement through the property. And it goes into a pond. And then from there, there's another manhole. And then we take a trash pump there and we pump it across 40-4 into
Oh.
that quarter section.
Yeah, that was what I was telling you about down here, yeah, cause I saw the drainage easement, yeah, okay. To pond, to manhole. So I guess that was our kind of overall then, if typically when we would do a master drainage plan, it would get submitted to Alberta Environment to be approved, and that helps with future developments. Knowing what their rates are, of release or retention, what they have to appease Alberta Environment with when they submit their applications, it would help guide you guys in what you're approving for future developments. So I don't know if you want this to go to Alberta Environment or not, it just kind of depends on the level of detail, I guess, that we put in.
It's a good one, because any developer is gonna have to do the law anyway.
Yes, this would just be, they'd use this kind of as a guide, so we would lay out in it what their release rate needs to be, so we in here have suggested 1 liter per second per hectare. Which is just based on an existing report for the city of Red Deer. Sorry, yeah, the Red Deer Red Deer River watershed. And if it's approved by Alberta Environment, the report, it would set that any developer has to meet these requirements in that area. As opposed to them coming in and having to figure out themselves what the release rate is and have that approved. They still have to get approval, but they would be able to reference this as to why they're releasing at these certain rates.
And it would establish where they'll be releasing to, rather than just come, if you have a new developer come in. They're gonna on like that one that had. Yeah, they are gonna have to release their excess water somewhere. And if you've established a route that it's going to go, then they would follow that master drainage plan and they would know to do that, but if you don't have it approved, then they'll have to figure out their own way of what they're gonna do and how that works with the existing.
Where they're gonna outlet to.
So basically, what you're outlining here, presenting to council is, if you have this plan approved by for the environment. Then it sets your standards, and then it's not on the municipality because the standards are approved and set. We just gotta meet those requirements.
Yeah.
And any developer, like, it's not an argument anymore because it's set.
Essentially, yes, yeah.
So if, let's say there was a development like, Buffalo Ranch Estates and the proposal there was to take it from the catch pond back down to Jack's Pond and then from there into the lake. Basically, that was the plan there. So if something else came up, let's say if they wanted to, it was better for them to take the access to a quarter section next door or something. So if the environment approved where it's supposed to go, would they be able to change? Or,
They would, they just have to go through a bit more of a process, because typically you also can't just outlet into the neighbor, and they won't usually allow that. Especially if the neighbor complains that you've got a whole compliance issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would just kind of, it would help you guys from having people just want to outlet elsewhere. They have to follow the plan,
okay,
yeah.
so when we did that Pheasant Terrace, the government didn't have any problem with us doing that quarter section.
Yeah, and you guys probably talked to the farmer, like he probably was fine with it.
We've got all the legal.
Yeah, exactly,
stuff.
and that's why that one's fine, because that landowner had an agreement, it's approved, but otherwise you have to. If, like, let's say if you have the new development and they wanted to go into the neighbor, they'd have to have approval from the neighbor, unless it's an existing outlet.
Yeah,
Okay, it naturally goes that way.
So I guess the question is, because things change over years. And people change, hands change, property changes hands.
Yeah.
And then you get other issues popping up. So if we had this plan approved already, then basically. Is that going to help us in a sense in the future, or is it gonna make it worse?
It should help keep the same level of standard for all of the developments that would follow.
It sets it on an even playing field. for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah,
Okay,
Is this,
So-
these numbers, this is for new developments, like, is there any, can this go retroactive on what we've got right now and we have to change things?
no, because those would all be grandfathered in. But then at the second that you go and change it, it would have to meet, like if you went and did construction on one of the ponds or something, usually then it will. It really varies, especially because a lot of these ponds, I say ponds in quotes, look more like natural wetlands.
Yeah.
Which has something different then.
yes.
So it's just all based on everything running into the lake?
So that's the question that we wanted to go through with you guys too, as to where everything goes. Because we can see where it gets trapped right now. Like I said, we didn't know about the French drain yet, which is fine, because this is high level at this point to figure out what you guys know and where we can go. So seeing where stuff, so I've got arrows in here showing, and yes, theoretically, everything gets to the lake eventually. Whether it goes from groundwater or whether it goes overland, that's what we're trying to figure out.
Or it's pumped.
Yeah, or if it's pumped. So that's our further questions. Because you have this pumping license. Essentially, the license says you are allowed to pump. Essentially as much as you want, as long as you don't exceed that flow rate. In order to mitigate flooding to residents. So it really doesn't set any other kind of limit, like only to this elevation or whatnot. How do you guys determine when you need to go pump?
well, it's physical. Just there's like, in one pond, there's a marker board.
Okay, that's what we're wondering, is there a market for it?
There is
Yeah.
one, you would never know what it is, but it's there.
Yeah,
And then the other part is pretty well done by site, the one like Pheasant Terrace.
yeah,
And the French drain is taking care of the one large slough, but the slough isn't beside it, it comes through a channel
Mhm.
down to where the French drain is.
yeah,
So
so once it fills, it'll overtop into the channel, yeah, and go,
yeah,
okay,
and the other one, we have, there's one license there that we haven't used. but it's all logged, and when it's a wet. Couple of years, we're talking millions of liters.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
unbelievable,
Yeah, no, I would not be surprised based on the area.
yeah.
So what's your guys' recommendation and what do you want or you think would be the best fit for the municipality?
Yeah, so,
I'll just add one more thing, so from Buffalo Ranch Estates. Then, the reason I was talking about private property, was behind there is towards the east, there's an abandoned gravel pit.
okay,
It could be a big, huge holding pond. And there's already some ponds in there, but, maybe there's possibility down the road, I haven't.
It's an existing gravel pit?
It's an abandoned,
Then it'd be under reclamation.
yeah, it'll have very specific other.
Yes,
Yeah,
just like the one outside Black Falls, they're specifically, it looks like they're reclaiming that.
yeah, and if we want to turn anything into a pond, like a whole holding pond, as you describe it, it would need. Specific approval as a pond.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so lake,
Yeah.
basically. Go into.
Pretty much anything needs a, we'll be putting water to it nowadays. But yeah, Brandon, did you wanna?
Well, I guess, for the drainage plan, you guys had brought up the Third Street pond. Was there any other areas that you want us to address, as like how to improve it, or? Are there areas you want identified as problems and what should be done, or are you just looking to identify how it's working now and then what the future will look like?
Yeah, so for example, for Third Street, because it's also got the pipe pumping license. Is that one of the ones that has the board on it or no? Yeah,
yes.
so you've already got an elevation established, so that would be good if we could to find out what your elevations are for each of these that's established. That'll help Brandon be able to determine at what point they're getting pumped or overflowed.
And do we want to set, like, are you wanting to improve that to have a system that instead of you're monitoring the board, that it's automatic, the pump is automatically turning on with a level or something like that, or is
Are we
that?
wanting to try and find a drainage outlet point for
So that one,
we can go Cadillac or we can go middle.
well.
Okay, middle
it's-
is what? Middle is just finding. What,
Yeah,
setting up a pump system that's an automatic, like you.
that I'd say is more Cadillac level, if it's like automatic
Okay.
having a pump, because we have to also find an outlet for it to go to where it can go.
Okay,
Yeah.
And we're talking big dollars, cause we
Yeah,
were gonna
yes.
do that down at Pheasant Terrace and we said,
Yeah, it'd be pretty big dollars, there's pretty, because coming out of that Third Street pond, it goes. Uphill on pretty much all directions and then
Yes.
back downhill, so we'd have to get it to the. To the lake in some
well,
situation.
where it's pumped now, it just goes into a hole in between. Third and Second Street. It just disappears, but it probably goes eventually right back into the pond, but not always, because the pond stays when. we
Stays
pump.
low, yeah, and that was our other question, just finding out if we could sit down maybe with a big map with you. To find out where things get pumped to and where they go, cause we can't really determine that off of LiDAR.
okay, I think that's setting up a meeting and just sitting down and
Yeah.
going through it, I.
And then we'll establish, I think it is smart for us to establish a release rate for you guys for future development.
Yes,
And yeah, just, we'll have the surveyors go out, and survey all of the culverts, but we might do that after we meet, just so we can find out any specific things we want to get surveyed that we may not know about.
Yeah, and if we can identify the locations before, then we'll. be
Then they wander
more
around
efficient.
less.
Yeah.
They're more
Okay.
efficient at going directly where they need to go.
so then that is registering our legal line work information. That's like all this next steps, all this is coming up, then we're going to go through.
Hold on, which one are you in?
Evaluation part, then it goes to next steps.
Sorry. Sorry, you were on this one. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, we don't need to register your legal animals, we need a copy of the registered legal.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah, because looking at the air photo, some of the ponds that are existing, they appear to be partially in. Lots and partially in municipal reserve or environmental reserve, I believe.
Yeah.
So we need to define where those ponds need to be because we can't have them flooding into lots.
Yeah,
Ideally.
so most of them are actually in MRs now, or ERs, like you said. They're
Yes,
pretty good based on what we can tell from comparing different images and Alberta environments imagery. But, yeah, like the Third Street pond is definitely in a couple lots,
Yeah, not one on Pheasant Terraces too.
is also yes.
yeah,
So, yeah, we'll need to determine exactly where the lots are and try to identify those elevations of
okay,
if we were gonna contain them within just your municipal reserve, what elevation would the water be sitting at?
So that it stays contained, yeah.
okay,
And that would help too then when we look at the boards that you have for pumping level to know what you currently are establishing exact.
And then there's that one, slough down by the hall, it goes into the French drain now.
Yeah.
There's actually a channel that goes through private property.
Okay, and you probably wanna register that
It's
into
not
the
registered,
easement,
yeah.
yeah.
I think there's a lot of things that through this plan, we're going to have to
Clean
make
up.
steps to clean up.
Yeah,
Yeah, totally,
Yes.
and that was kind of what we wanted to meet with you here about before we got further to make sure we were knowing what our goals.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think setting up a meeting to like go through a map and go through a couple more details would be a great idea.
Yeah, maybe even out at the hall, so we can, if we have
walk around,
Yeah, yeah, we can do that.
to do it there.
Yeah, so if you guys wanna provide us some dates to. We'll meet out there and. Then we can walk around or.
yeah.
I'm gone in November for 2 weeks.
We
Okay,
probably wanna do it before November anyway.
I was thinking, yeah, I was thinking actually before the end of the month.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe next week if we could organize.
That would be great.
Yes, I think, does that answer your questions about the stormwater plan and how we can move forward? And then I guess our final question for Third Street, because we kind of had some extra stuff in there, just not really knowing where that was going. Is the plan still that the landowner wants to do work on the retaining wall?
They have a development permit
Okay,
and the guidelines, what they need to do.
okay, perfect.
The desktop assessment had been provided to them,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
It's at this point in their hands.
Okay, yeah, just cause I know that one email said that we were doing an assessment, but we aren't. We hadn't planned on that, that was kind of if the town was planning, if the village, sorry, was planning to do. The work themselves, then we need that on our side, but if it's on them, then that's fine, and they should be able to, hopefully. They might be able, depending what they're trying to do, get away with just a desktop.
Yeah, we'll be dealing with that in the next part of the meeting here. To look at that, but you're correct, the resolutions that were made
Yeah,
aren't specifically correct to what was presented
yeah,
in your report.
perfect, that's what I thought when I saw them later, I was like, oh no.
So council will discuss that and then they'll tell me the proper steps here and then we'll talk about that after.
Perfect, yeah, no, that sounds good to me.
Yeah, so.
Sounds good.
Any other questions, you guys?
That's just find out when that next meeting is gonna be.
Yeah. Did you want us to figure that out right now or do that after this meeting? We can-
After this
Yeah,
meeting.
that's what I thought.
It would be much easier when we have our tests to be able to go through calendars and stuff.
Yes, for sure.
Give us 2 dates and then we'll finalize one.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming and. Presentation, because sometimes we're. We're a little bit in the dark of what's going on. Because of the. What environment may you want and what you guys are suggesting.
Yeah, no, for sure. This is definitely very helpful for us to get. A little bit more direction. It's easier sometimes just to sit down and we can talk it through as opposed to trying to go back and forth on emails. So it's very helpful.
And I think just to make sure that we've got approvals in the right spots so that it sets the village up for the future is probably the best option. Yeah. So, and having these plans, that means it's easier for developers because we've set the guidelines. If it's going on here.
I know, I've seen it.
It's hanging out.
Yeah, and it's also helpful having the drainage plan if you have people looking at potentially developing, they can have a better idea of. Kind of what their requirements might be, where their water might need to drain to, so if like, let's say they're in an area that really. It's hard to get their water out, they'll know that it might be more costly or wherever they are, right, it just gives them a bit more.
So this also helps with anybody who develops a lot.
Yeah.
Also, because the whole like concept is you must maintain the drainage within your property and not bother your adjacent landowners.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Yeah,
Okay,
is that all?
that moves.
That's
Thank
good.
you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for the drive.
There.
I don't know if I'll get that, we got convention for a couple days here. And then Friday, the office is closed,
Yeah,
or I could maybe do it. From the stationery, like them licenses and
Yeah.
everything, or I could take pictures of them. Preliminary. And email them to you.
Sure, even if you give me, so if you send me the license numbers, I should actually be able to request the documents.
Yeah, but
actually, if
There's
you
some-
call a short recess, I think I have the documents all in an envelope on my desk.
Oh, yeah, I must have given to you.
Do you wanna call a short recess?
You will, yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, we just go to my office back here.
Jesus.
Alright. We're back in the meeting, alright.
Okay.
At 10:07.
Okay. So, that was good. Kind of clears things in my head a little bit.
Yes.
So was there two different types of LiDAR that they could buy, or three, or what? What was that? And she said 3 feet,
1 meter. 1 meter,
1 meter, so is that just standard?
that's standard. Yeah. It's nice because it makes it easier to view things,
Mhm.
you know.
So, Lauren, to do permanent solutions or on these ponds where we don't have to pump, it's really super expensive, is it?
Yeah, with the elevations, if they want it in the lake, like that one from Third Street. If that was, you'd have to directional drill that thing. Or have some kind of pumping system there. And it would be really expensive, like the one down at Pheasant, or at Pheasant Terrace, if it was to be automatic. We were talking, I think, $300,000 to $400,000, and that was quite a while ago. For the infrastructure.
Yeah,
This plan will cover off any options or things to consider as part of a capital planning for the future.
okay, fair enough.
And I guess the other thing, like at Third Street Pond, at one time, we did pump it to the lake, but. There was a lot of pushback because of the fact that the water was going into the main swimming area. And people didn't want the slough water in there. Right, directly, right, so.
But that's where a plan like this will look at everything
Yeah.
in a larger picture and give you the options, and it's engineered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
And you wanna make sure that the water's filtered properly, I guess, right? So there's no pollutants going into the lake, is that?
Well, I guess. Well, it depends where it's going into the lake, where there's public swimming. Areas, I know that there was some perspective.
Right, but if the plan that gets built and it's approved by environment, then the plan is there. And you just work from that plan for your capital planning and fixing in the future.
Yeah,
Which then lays out a standard that you're gonna be following. And then with Alberta Environment's approval, they will have laid out what you
yeah,
have to consider. And in this plan, because they're gonna approve it, correct?
yeah. Budget wise, Bob, it's extremely expensive. So that's why if there's a new subdivision coming, developer would have to take care of it.
Right, okay,
If it's handed over, then we have to operate it. If it's a infrastructure system that needs maintenance, so,
Everything gets handed over to the municipality once you accept construction completion, so it must fit within the guidelines of your plan.
yeah, and not. Then you would be able to have to choose your plan too.
They have to build it to fit within your guidelines that you have approval on.
Yeah, because you don't want anything, it's just a piece of. Stuff that's gonna be a whole bunch
You
of.
all have to go through your engineers to make sure it all fits within your plan.
Yeah. Okay, business from previous council agendas. We have 6.1, Shirley Turner and John Thompson. Land use bylaw. Page 17.
so here's the thing, we sort of made a motion to get a legal opinion on the well, the land use bylaw, and I guess in sort of thinking about it after the meeting, you know, I guess we were never really provided any documentation as to, we were sort of accused of us making a lot of mistakes and things like that, and I guess it was sort of, you know, well, my son's friend said this and I heard this, and so I guess my thought is that I would, before we get a legal opinion, I would like some documentation from the people that made the request about, you know, that they had some documentation that said that they could have 2 trailers on that one lot, because I guess if we open the land use bylaw, it's going to be a lot of work, and you know, there could be dozens of people that then request, and then that creates a problem down the line for future development if we're limited to 505 lots.
I think also, there's been a feed
I
of
don't know what's.
emails back and forth to Leanne and Angela, and it clearly shows that the way the land use bylaw is it's correct.
I had a meeting with Leanne and Angela. And we went through the land use bylaw review timeline. And I can tell you, November 5th, 2021, council approved notice of intent and call for members. November 26th, 2021, notice of intent and call for members was advertised. We put it on Facebook, website, bulletin board, Deb's Mercantile, and an email listed. So we used the newsletter email listing. Then on January 22nd, memo to council with members selected, later switched 1 member for Tish Holiday. And then April 6th, 2022, did a presentation to council. April 14th, 2022, send out completed infographic. We emailed, website, Facebook, bulletin board. April 30th, 2022, public open house, presentation to council for first reading May 4th, 2022. Public hearing, May 21st, 2022. Final, second, and third reading was June 1st, 2022. And the standards set due to density requirements from the public open house written by the BLSSIDP, properties allowed 2 RVs as per reviewing the following 2021 permit listing, 2021 inspection report, and 2021 payment register. So we came up with it.
So it
Like,
ultimately was all done properly.
the process was followed based on all of our policies, MGA requirements, the whole nine yards. Were you going to appease everybody? No, you set up something that worked. And once the bylaw was passed, it comes into effect.
And to
Yeah.
redo the bylaw would open it up and have to do a full review and through hearings and public meetings and the whole nine
Yeah,
yards.
you would have to have readings and open up the bylaw. And there could be some other changes in there, but it's certainly setting an idea that things can be played around with. When if you look at the documentation and the reports and the emails from the owners, it's hands down. They knew what's going on. So I don't understand it.
Whatever was in the previous bylaw and people who buy or are sold something based on something else, things change. Your bylaws will change. That's part of municipal government's role, is to adapt and bring up to date all of your documents. And you were doing that based on statutory requirements. That, to do this again, you're gonna have to create a whole new budget to restart this whole process based on this concern.
So I guess my thought on this is that I would put a motion forward to rescind the motion that we made at the last meeting, and if they can bring forward, we could relook at this in the future if there was something that they could bring forward to show that we were wrong, which I don't think we were. But I'm not gonna put that in the motion. I'm gonna say the motion, we just rescind the motion, but then we let them know that if there's, you know, that we feel like we've done the process properly.
So I guess first thing is if you guys are all in agreement, and you must be in agreement. That from what I'm hearing from Bob is he's putting forward. For to do a motion to. Moved by. To rescind motion 230903 based on procedural bylaw with a majority vote. So basically you're rescinding that motion, right?
Yeah. 23905, right?
230903. So that would be your first, if you're gonna rescind it, one motion, and it must be an agreement. By majority. Oh, 230, did I do that? Yes, 05. Got it. 230905.
Should go back and make sure in a minute.
I just did, yeah, so it is 2309.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that would be your first, so if you guys are in.
Based on what you say, you described, I don't think we're in fault, so. Right?
Yeah. Bob, were you gonna make that motion?
I would make that motion.
Okay.
Okay, moved by Councillor Huff to rescind motion 230905 from the September 2023 regular council meeting
With all council in support.
with all, okay. With all council in support,
All in favor?
Yep.
Yes.
unanimously carried.
So I guess I'm gonna ask, do you just wanna leave this now, or? Do you now understand what they were trying to present and that you are not doing anything with the land use bylaw?
Well, I don't want to open it up right now, honestly. I mean, I think, I mean, it's only like, what, a couple of years old or whatever, right? You know, I mean, so I just don't, I don't think we need to be reopening the land use bylaw every 1 or 2 years.
Okay,
Because I think, you know, I think that they went through. I trust that the people that did it went through it and did everything, you know, took into account everybody's, you know, any views that anybody brought forward to them at the time.
So I guess what I'm saying is, do you guys want to put in a resolution that you're standing with your bylaw and you're accepting the delegation's information as
Recommended
yeah,
part of it, or fees?
so? Like, accept the delegation's report as information and that's that?
yeah.
I think
believe
so.
that. There you go.
Okay, so then I would do a second motion if I were you, just to make sure it's clarified.
So that'd be the. Not. But you recommended,
No, they rescinded the last one.
okay, all right,
Okay, that motion's rescinded.
okay,
So now you would just do a motion to accept your Shirley Turner and John Thompson land use bylaw RV concerns of September 20th, 23 delegation as information.
okay. That's the information.
You've heard.
So we're motioning, yeah, to accept this as information. I would make that motion.
I have. Moved by Councillor Huff to accept Shirley Turner and John Thompson land use bylaw concerns as information.
From September 20th, 2023.
From subject. Yeah.
That's it.
So all in favor?
Yes,
Okay, votes for, from Aptus Engineering,
Yes, so as she had explained, the actual quote that was provided to you guys back on June 21st. Resolutions 230604 is not correct to what was presented, so I need clarity on it. Because that isn't actually the cost for that. So
ultimately what I read is we approved the money and it's just kind of a wording thing, right? As to what the money is going to be spent for. It was more of a wording issue.
yes, because you actually decided on a totally different engineering aspect for a community wetland study and the 12th 3rd Street Pond area wetland study, but that wasn't what the quote was for. So yeah, it's
So we're still basically we're approving the money, but it's just a wording thing as to what the money is getting used for, right?
correct. So I would say you would need to rescind the actual resolution and then make a new resolution clarifying it better.
Clarifying where the money's gonna go.
Exactly. So it's clear.
a motion to rescind,
Who was?
230604
I'll do that,
Right,
is all council in support.
all.
I support that, yes.
Yep,
so I have, moved by Mayor Thurston to rescind the resolution motion number 230604 from the June 23rd meeting with all council in support.
Yes. So now you would do a new motion. A motion to approve Aptus engineering project proposal of June 7th, 2023. Stormwater management plan, additional engineering to review the existing drainage and stormwater management of lot 12. 3rd Street Pond area includes 16,940 of provisional survey and environmental as an additional cost of 26,645.
Okay. Motion.
I'll make that motion.
Bobby,
Okay.
all in favor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect.
I don't understand how that even got done.
I don't understand this, no.
I don't
Like,
know.
I
either.
don't know why it was stated this way. This should have been all together
Well, it could have been.
and not pushed towards the street pond, but should have been pushed towards for the whole watershed.
For some reason, I think the discussion might have gone a bit astray from what the report was being presented to, because you do have your wetland issue, okay? And so maybe that's how it came to be. I can't say for sure, but we just needed to clear up the resolution because this is the money that we're actually spending and doing for the project.
Yeah, just to make sure the proper project gets done.
Correct.
Okay, Aptus project quote.
We just dealt with that.
I was just looking at the, like, the
Oh,
front
it's,
street and the community have always gone out of there.
yeah,
Did you go through that, you guys? That
Yeah.
document?
Yes,
How much is that, LiDAR? 30.
that was not just for LiDAR.
Okay, so, community standards, but all we did in that one was change the fines. Just the 4 sections there. 3.2, so if you go to the back of the community standards bylaw. The penalties on the schedule. So we just changed
3.29, 3.30, and 3.32.
and 3.33, wasn't it?
it's
Yes.
listed at 3.33, yeah, it was just increased because of the. Well, partially because of the, you may have a lot of influx from
Here.
people. And we have to just tighten up the parking, the fines for parking, and I don't know exactly what the new Bar W is gonna do to us, but we have to straighten it out. So that.
Well, I think ultimately, I mean, if the fine is too low for just parking anywhere in the village with a camper, then people may be willing to just do it and pay the fine, and it's cheaper than being in a campground. So the fine has to be a significant amount of money, so people can't just go and park wherever they want for the weekend and, okay, well, $200 is the cost of doing business or whatever.
Yeah, and if you make it too high, then if it had to go to court, it's not gonna be effective anyway, because the judge
Yeah.
just said.
Yeah. Yes,
I don't know, this was a long time ago, but I had a kid phone me up one time. And he went through the through the fire bylaw, and they wanted to have a pellet fire down on the beach in front of Front Street. And he said, if we pay you the $250, is that okay to do that? That's true. I said no.
Wow.
Anyway, we need a motion to do that.
Approve the, you guys did first and second last meeting, so it'll be
Third reading,
third reading.
third and final reading.
Ed, all in favor?
Yes,
Okay, moved by Councilor Welch to approve the third and final reading of the community standards bylaw 196/23. Alrighty.
Okay, financial, do you wanna run us through them, Melissa?
So your budget at this point is sitting in a surplus, but we still have 3 more months of the year to go through. So I'm not saying this is gonna stay. Things are coming in from last, everything's kind of going up as it seems to. There's other things that I don't think we're all putting into the 2023 budget. But we did notice that. I'm not too sure why. But in your 2023 budget that you guys passed, actually has left you guys with a $212 deficit, so. We actually cannot pass a budget ever with a deficit. I don't know what happened, but your 2023 actuals, we are showing a surplus, but like I said. We're still 3 months to go. I think you'll still be in a surplus.
Spend with that much.
so I had a couple of questions about the financials. One, we made a payment to Roshan. Is that clear us all up with Roshan, or do we still owe them some money? It was like
No,
24
all cleared up,
It's all cleared up,
yes.
so we won't owe Roshan any more money. Okay, that's good. The other question I had is general administration, the revenue was like $50,000 and we budgeted for 5,000. Where is all that money coming from?
For revenue,
Yeah, revenue, general administration.
That'd be on. Let me log in, hold on.
yeah, she's just gonna log in and double check what it's all. Normally, general administration could be some of your. Extra fees such as maybe, I think compliance certificates should go under development though.
Yeah, but 5,000 to 52, that's a hell.
And just quickly, so in September, oh, that's why. So when we put in the MSI operating grant,
There you go.
was $48,361, so that's why it popped you up.
So this is grant.
MSI. Yeah, but MSI operating is for operating. So that will offset some of our other things like maybe server, things like that, because we can use it for some of that stuff. Or it could be allocated into other areas once but that MSI operating is operating funds.
So is that a normal thing that we can get an MSI operating grant? Because I guess I've always been a bit confused with grants that like so there is operating grants and then there's capital grants. Is that correct? So this can get used straight for operating stuff like that?
Yeah,
Right, and generally,
can't be used for wages, but it can be used to offset operating expenses.
and the amount of operating MSI compared to capital is way lower.
Can we get that every year? Can we get $40,000 MSI operating grant every year?
As long as they continue it, yes, but we never know what they're gonna do year to year. Sometimes it gets cut.
Next year.
Never a guarantee. I
So we can't.
remember when they've gone up, they've gone down, they've actually said. In bad times here, you can have this, but we're gonna cut it back next year. So again, it's not a guaranteed fund, so that's why we don't actually budget complete for that funds, but it goes towards other expenses. Like anything to do with garbage, we can apply it to that. We had our server, we can apply it to that, so those are. expenses that you didn't actually, you budgeted, but they're additional, right?
So we never budget for it, but it's, if we get it, it's bonus money. Is that basically what it comes down to?
And then it offsets and gives you a surplus at the end of the year, if we do it right, yes.
Yeah, okay, good. So,
And
so
the
that's
MS
good. Now, the other question I had is, taxes were down a bit on the budget. We're still collecting some taxes here.
Yes, well, you got your tips still, so we still have 2 more months of tips to come in.
Oh,
So
okay,
your people, and then you do have about what, 15 in arrears?
That fluctuation also comes from, we've been finding payments that were submitted that weren't actually, they didn't get through the system right, so some of that fluctuation, taxes and penalties has to do with, well, if they paid in July and it was missed, we've got to take off those penalties.
right,
So
okay.
you're
fair
gonna
enough.
see that fluctuation as we're cleaning everything up and saying, okay, yeah, we've got it, prove, we're good, we've cleaned it up. So that's why you're gonna see that slight fluctuation.
Fair enough, good, okay, thank you.
Which other big expenses do we have coming up?
requisition for,
Your education,
Yeah,
all your other ones are now done. So
Yeah,
your
so
senior
that's-
housing's been paid as of now. What else is there? Part-time, which is not a very big one, the library. And yeah, education's your last one, that's the end
That's
of
a big
December.
number too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like $70-some thousand.
Yeah. And then we've just received all of our IT moving stuff and the setup on that, so that has to still go through here.
Yeah, this is just in September, like we
Yeah.
just got Longhurst yesterday.
So,
yeah, and then, we got, we're paying rent.
Yeah.
utilities.
yeah,
So anything for utilities.
I'm watching things like a hawk. And then we're also finding some other little things that weren't applied for, which isn't gonna help us, and we'll talk about that as we move along. So we're just trying to make sure we bring everything back in line. And tighten up where we can, but still get things done in a proper manner.
And Bob, that MSI is getting replaced with another
Yes,
system, so it's not municipal sustainability anymore, and there's big back and forth on it because the rural municipalities and the cities are separate,
yes,
and they haven't quite figured it out yet.
Yeah, and that's next year that happens, right?
yes, because the cities have their own charter now and their funding is going to be a whole separate thing compared to what we have, the pool we have to share now.
Yeah,
Okay,
So then the next one is your general ledger. It's kind of just, which one is that? Capital revenue, so this is where we're at. We did get some things cleaned up. I got the amended agreement with MSI, we've got that cleaned up. Lori's going through, we're updating everything, and we've got our final. You know what we need to do for getting the rest of the funds released. So we've got that information provided by the government, and we now know that we need to make sure that we spend. Get a second here. We spend 259,120 to not lose any of our MSI funding. So that's what I'm working on for. I'll be working with the engineers on your site plan for where your office could be. I've got one office drawing back from with some tweaking we're doing, and then I've got from Nelson Homes. And then I also have another company that's sending me some more diagrams, and I'm gonna finalize some stuff to bring to you guys and start moving ahead.
and so that brings us to get the MSI in order, the funds that are brings us up to 2018.
Yes,
So then there's, from 2018 onwards, there's more.
yes, totally, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're getting there, and I've got a pretty good set of things moving on this to try and get this so that we can just. Do what we gotta do, get things moved, but I need you guys to formalize the plans and then I'll release funds.
Yeah, and that's the good thing about Nelson Homes is that you can give whatever kind of deposit you want. Instead of the
Yes.
15% or whatever. So that clean it.
Yes, but I'm also gonna take some of the funds and use it to get the site prepped.
Yeah. And then
Yes,
whatever.
Yeah.
Basement or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I do know that we have, after we went through some more stuff, we think we've probably spent about another 100,000 already in grant funding. So we're looking good. We just needed that final to, okay, this is our next step, so that's why I'm meeting with Sarah. She's going through everything and we're gonna finalize cause we need the site plan before we can move ahead and put an office or relocate stuff.
Okay,
And moving on to the checklisting.
I guess the checks there, that the. Cardboard recycle,
They never got printed off and stuff, so,
but how far behind?
I think we're 2 months, 3 months,
Yeah.
3 months.
It went back to July.
Yeah.
We've caught up on everything now to make sure that we're clear.
Mhm.
This is the,
So the cardboard is $400 a month on average.
Yeah, about that, 3
showed
to
that, yeah, there's a pickup at least once a week, and depending on who makes a call, it could end up being twice a week. Normally, we try to stick to once a week, because there's a cost. So once a week is usually what we.
$6 to dump it, it used to be.
And it's usually full once a week though too, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's the consideration of, I understand everybody's got garbage and stuff, but if you've got that much garbage, sometimes just making a trip to the landfill is in your best interest, but we're doing what we can.
I always said that when we get our new landfill site, that it should be gated. We can control a lot of that stuff.
Well, the other thing is I was putting some cardboard in there yesterday. And of course, the lids aren't locked. And people threw some, without breaking it down, they threw these big boxes. in
And
there.
that is sometimes where the concern comes in, is because if we call, because people have not done their due diligence and broken this down, there's a cost, and it's gonna increase if we continue with people not breaking things down and doing the process, so.
Yeah, and then let them rent.
All we can do is try and educate and keep working on trying to get our expenses in a more even system, and if it takes explaining, we'll explain.
I guess in the
Yeah.
next newsletter, we could have a little,
We did in the last one, but I'll do it again.
Yeah, we're gonna keep it and tighten it up a little bit and give more information.
It just is. Is it worth? I mean, you're recycling cardboard, but you're also burning up all sorts of fuel. Money. It just doesn't make sense to me sometimes,
Yes,
but. I don't know, you can't have a compactor or anything, I don't know what the answer is.
you start getting into that, that's a whole nother ballgame. If you guys decide you wanted to do your own cardboard, your own compactor, there's a huge amount of costs involved in that.
Yeah.
And then you need storage, and you're gonna be creating something different, but there are things coming down the pipe. I'm not too sure how it's gonna affect things, I'll know more. Arma and the producers pay thing, they're finalizing stuff, so I'm educating myself on that, and there might be some options. I don't know how that's gonna flow.
I know
Which is in-
Stettlers, the town of Stettlers having issues with recycling too, so it's kind of an ongoing thing that we just it's always a work in progress, I think.
I
You know,
think all,
I think we have to do it. I mean, I think it's the right thing to do. It's just a matter of how to do it properly.
Yeah, I think everybody has the same problem.
Okey doke, checks, any other questions?
We did have one inquiry on a check.
Yes, we did, when I released, I published, and a resident asked me about, our. Financial person, cause it's a
Number company.
number company, so I just said it's our person who helps us with their finances. And that was their rate for the month of August, so.
And it's part of our MGA requirements, we
Exactly.
must make sure our financials are.
And she's excellent.
She's awesome.
You lost her, we'd be in big trouble.
Then let's tread carefully on what we're doing. That's my only comment.
Sorry, what was that?
We need, if we lose any of our contracted employees, that's gonna make it harder and more expensive in the future.
Yeah.
So I like to tread very carefully on how we're working these things.
Next one is your expenses.
You guys asked for a report on the MSI, so I kind of provided you everything I could pull of where we're at. So it kind of shows you total project costs, what funding we kind of used. Yeah, it's all, that's the list of the projects. That's what I found because there's still some that are still waiting for approval.
Yeah, there's a magic number,
Mm-hmm,
pretty much.
yep. Like project expenditures, yes, that's the number. And that's gonna go up actually, because there still are, we had to revise the municipal office, so that's in there. That's being reapproved, so it's not all there.
A lot of work. It's
Yeah.
interesting to see,
Yes,
and it's a good thing, but it's in the agenda package because then people can see what's going on as well.
Yep.
Okay,
and then you guys asked for the breakdown of cultural expenses. I don't see it.
And it's,
yeah,
it's all the. The GL transaction drawdowns, so we pulled up all the 74s. So that's what's cultural, so that'll be your hall record.
Find it in my
Oh,
package.
well, you can have mine then.
I got it, sorry, longer, my pages are mixed up, sorry.
So one we'd be looking at is expense, multi-purpose purchase building repairs is the one that is highlighted.
Oh, that's why, yes, now I know what I'm doing. Yeah, I did you a summary on that because it is the lighting.
Yeah, the lighting at the community hall, right? We went to,
Yes, that's the over expense, and upon further investigation. I did receive an email back. That we did not have any application in. So unfortunately, it's an expense that we did not, it was supposed to be covered by a grant, it's not covered by a grant, so it's gonna come out of your surplus.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
net total was what, 14?
14,000.
14,000,
Oh, plus.
17, wasn't it?
yes,
17,000.
17,000.
17,500.
Well, 14,800 was the lights, and then plus another 1,633 were your limits.
Yeah,
And then you had your furnace that had issues back in January. Of $1,068.02.
which that's a standard that can happen,
But the lights of the.
Yeah, that
1560.
was, yeah. Okay, well, we'll just move on from there. So do you need a motion to accept this as information?
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, all the financials
Well,
Well, you're
we're
not
going
done
to,
from the
To accept the general ledger breakdown of cultural expenses as information,
Yeah, just that one.
wants to put their name on it.
All of that, all in favor?
Yes,
Cause your last one is your bank rec. So that tells you where we are at
As of August,
as of August 31st. So we have total operating funds of 1,035,778. Now. Then we have our GICs, so. Total cash on hand. We're sitting financially okay. I'm not gonna say any more than that.
We're okay.
We're okay.
we're okay. Good.
who wants to accept the financial reports as presented?
I will.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
You want me to let her pop on now?
Yes. We're just about working through all this anyway. Yeah, tell her to be here in the next 30 minutes.
You just want me to I'm just gonna follow her. I just tell her when she can't pop on it.
Yeah, tell her to be here for 11:30. I think we can move through this.
Okay.
I don't see anything major, really.
Council reports. Yeah.
Okay, council. And CAO. Do you have anything, Ed?
Yeah, I'm very early. With the housing authority, all is doing well. We currently only have 34 units in total unoccupied. Paragon Place has a waiting list. So yeah, there's getting more and more interest from a lot of out of town folks living there. So, yeah, it's really good. Everybody's happy.
34 open and Paragon Place as a waiting list. Okay.
The tree planting program is finished for this year, and thanks to Stan and Tish Holiday for all their work, what they've done, and Aaron, our village maintenance fellow, he helped out considerably, and I noticed he's done a lot of work on it. He's taken a lot of pride in that. He's done a beautiful job. Really nice. Thank you, Aaron, for that. So, yeah, it looks good.
And you dug the holes.
The auger dug the holes. I stood there and watched it. Yeah, it all worked out real well. They planted nice and real quick like too. And there was 12 extra cages that I had stored in the back over in the corner over there.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna use them for my own personal use. We took them out of there and we used them on these trees. So they belong to the village.
I think it's gonna provide a lot of nice color to the community, you know?
Yes, yeah.
Hey, Robert, you got anything there?
I had one resident sort of ask if we at some point could look at maybe putting some nicer sort of welcome signs coming into the community, if we could look at that in the future, like maybe one on either end of the boat launch road or something like that. So it just, you know, it's not something that has to be done quickly, but it's something that maybe we could put a little bit of a committee together at some point in time to look at it or whatever and just get some ideas.
How about during the 2024 budget? We will have this discussion and you guys can set a budget number first.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I honestly think that we should do more than just the entrance, Bob. I brought it up several times now that we should do one out at the four-way stop at 835. That thing needs to be re-enhanced and fixed up and bullet holes taken out of it, and same over on
Yeah.
same over on Highway 56 too.
So why don't we put that as table that till the new year and we can
Budget for it.
budget for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one at our harbor.
Yeah.
Motion
Six flat.
to,
Elaine Vader.
actually, you know what, we don't need a motion. You guys have made me aware. I'm gonna put it as 2020-2024 budget consideration projects, okay?
Okay,
And then I will pull that together as part of your 2024 budget discussion. Does that make sense?
mhm.
So I don't have too much that I'll do, whatever, Dentalis barriers were brought up and it was decided not to do them. It's, you know, by the four-way stop.
Aren't they in there now?
You
Well,
know,
they just, they just did the plastic one.
they put the plastic thing, all I'm worried about is if, like in winter time, cars go through there. And they hit that thing, we could lose their landlines. But I don't know whether. It's worth protecting or.
I think the only reason, Lauren, that people were going through there, we didn't have. The maintenance wasn't done on that road and people didn't have a chance to stop because it was flare ice. I think if we have proper maintenance, people doing the right thing, I think that'll stop. If we put up cement barriers or something like that, it's gonna be a lot more damage to vehicles or whatever else, and it's. I think if we put some, some of that nice finer gravel on the icy conditions, people will slow down, especially if you start putting it farther back up onto the hill there and where you've got a chance to.
Yeah,
utilize it.
Okay. Now. Monty. Melosh wanted to do an outhouse. And Bob, you went down and looked at that one at Pheasant Back.
They're beautiful outhouses at the golf course.
Yeah.
I guess the problem is the maintenance.
Yeah,
And maybe what we could. If he really wants to do something, maybe we can get Paco or something to build another outhouse that's really like cedar siding and stuff on top of that tank. If we try and move the tank, we're gonna go and disturb someone else.
well, that's my issue is that I think if we, like, where are we gonna move it to?
Well, that's the biggest feat is. Where are we gonna move that? I mean, he's in favor of all costs to move it, to replace it, to build it, as long as it's not. That's his point.
We don't have much choice. Cause we still have to get a truck down.
Yeah, we do have to. Investigate on access to get it. To get to a truck to wherever we decide to get to put it. I mean,
Okay,
wherever we're gonna put it is open enough.
what's the issue? Or
Well, Monty,
Monty's got some dollars and he wants to replace the toilet on, what is it,
fourth access, Fourth Beach.
Fourth Beach access, okay.
Yeah.
So he would like to donate funding to have that
replaced.
replaced.
Replaced and put it back with a new style structure that like he has.
But he doesn't
at
want
golf
it,
course.
but he doesn't want it near his property.
But he doesn't want it at where it's at right now because it's right across from where he sits in his front yard. And he's gotta listen to the door banging, he's gotta smell it, he's gotta see it, he just wants to move it. Out of the way so it doesn't bother.
It's a can of worms.
I mean, it is, like Bob said, they are beautiful structures, it's a.
Well, if you want a budget to replace and redo your washrooms, that is within your realm.
Well, we don't want a budget for it, I mean, he's going to offer to do it all,
Just for that one.
just for that one,
where are you gonna relocate it?
this is the kicker.
We cannot. Because it would go in front of someone else, like it's not in front of this property, it's
Right,
it's right beside and it's on MR.
It's on MR, correct?
Yeah,
It's something that we can investigate.
But maybe he would just be happy with having it. A new one there that is aesthetically really nice. And just with the pit underneath of it, like
I
the,
highly recommend for you guys to direct his request and his offer to administration. And then we can take a better look at it and bring it back to council with recommendations. Trying to sort it right now.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
not related.
Yeah, we're jumping ahead of putting one foot in front of the other. Yeah.
Where he's asked something to you guys, direct him back to put it in writing, and then we can review and take a look at all the different scenarios and options that could be out there. If he's willing to cover the cost, that's fine, but my concern is if you step on one, you best meet all requirements for all of them. So you can mix one look nice, what are you gonna do about the rest?
well, I don't know if it's
I think the rest of them look nice as it is.
yeah, no one has a problem with.
No one has a problem with what they look.
So then-
We repair them.
Yeah.
That one in particular is kind of odd looking, I guess, and if someone privately wants to rebuild and put it on there. I wouldn't have a problem with the existing site, but.
So let's
who's
have
gonna
it
get a hold of
proposed.
Me too, or? Sure. Okay,
Just discuss what our concerns are.
Actually, don't even at this
You wanna
point
do that?
discuss,
we'll just have him.
have him send everything in writing,
Okay, have him send his proposal into administration.
yes,
Yeah,
in writing. That's, and then we'll go from there.
At least we're getting started on it because this has been brought up
couple
just about 2 years ago now.
Okay, we gotta go. Carry on here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Then, so that's control down by the boat launch.
yep,
That got buggered up and then it really got nice. Because
Mm-hmm.
we graded it,
mhm,
but after it's graded, then Kim's happy. But maybe, like we've always gone to their driveway. Because of Bluebell Court people, and. I mean, the next time we do dust control, they can just do from the driveway to where they ended.
Well, we usually do anyway, don't we?
We don't quite go, the driveway that was there was just agricultural,
Yeah.
so the house wasn't there, so they go a little farther.
so moving forward, when it comes to dust control, I will be double checking everything and talking with
Yeah.
them, and we,
Just so it's on,
depending on next.
I
year,
know
what-
a couple of years ago, he requested that when we do dust control, to go right to his approach.
yeah.
Right, but they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one here, and this is, I don't know how easy it is, but it's to the land use bylaw.
Okay,
And when you photocopy that. Like some people want a copy,
there's a fee for that, in your first, your question call, but yeah.
well, anybody that copies it, all that really turns out like this, and your ink is just going up with it.
Yeah,
Can we take the blue out?
I can't, but you would have to, we can talk to our people and change it.
Okay, and the phone number's wrong on here too.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, we have to update that.
Okay, cause that's a real concern, like some people come to me on the weekend and they want a copy of it. So I just bang it off for them, it doesn't happen very often, but even if I want it.
If they want copies, they just have to
they
get a
can
hold
go
of
on-
us
they can
and,
go on the internet.
yes, they can go on the internet. They can come here and we'll print them a copy. There is a charge though, because we have to pay for a copy of it. And the ink,
Well, I'm paying for the ink.
then you need to charge.
yes, exactly.
Otherwise, direct them over to us.
They said just send the price,
Well,
or they can go onto the website, cause it's on there like in 3 different places.
Yes.
okay. I'll leave it alone, errands, hours. What are they?
We're working on some policies here. I did my staff stuff and we'll discuss it later.
Okay,
She's upcoming in person.
Okay, perfect.
boat launch, there's one little approval that's not quite
I know,
done.
well, county's working with that too. I did talk to her, but you know what? We're working through everything
Okay,
and We've got the one that's given us quite a long term. So it's gonna be very hard pressed for them to not approve it too.
Okay, so around, I had a meeting on Monday, Buffalo Lake Management Team, and around the lake. It's the same thing with all the boat launches, of course. And what they would like to do is make them all under the same kind of licensing, because some of them are different. And some municipalities have them. And some don't. So it's kind of a mix up right now.
Well, those are discussions they'll have to have with us to form.
So are we still waiting on the boat launch then?
Uh,
Sorry,
Yeah,
No, boat launch is being processed through.
yeah.
Okay.
The only thing is, even if we do, if we get it fixed, it's not gonna do any good anyway.
We'll be fixing it in the spring, just so you're aware. It won't matter,
How are we fixing it? What are we gonna fix?
New pads is what they're,
but that's a whole bigger project to look at redoing the whole thing right now. This has always been an ongoing issue. In the spring, after the ice goes, it pushes the old style system up. Which is just locks that are chained. It's been going on since I started here.
yeah,
The problem is that it was never fixed in the spring. Now we're trying to fix it, understanding that we do know that we'll have to go back in the spring when I'm gone.
Yeah, do we wanna spend money on a dead horse?
There's a project that you'll have to do some discussions, there's some ways we're trying to look at how do we collaborate, but again. This is what's existing, we're trying to fix what's existing, and do we have to move forward with a new idea? That'll be coming, yes. But it's gonna take dollars and a lot bigger of a process.
okay. Just out of that meeting on Monday too, the moratorium for not pumping is now extended to 2028.
Yep.
Another 5 years.
Huh.
Sorry, Lynn, what was that? What's extended to 2020?
Remember the moratorium for not pumping water into the lake.
Right, okay, fair enough.
Yeah. And Erskine Cemetery, the crosses. Maybe Friday or Saturday. Sure. And Heather Zyrfeld's interested in going up there too, so.
Is there any expense on the municipality?
No. I got it.
We, in past years, we would have volunteers put them up, but we had our maintenance staff go and retrieve them.
Yeah,
Now, do we still wanna do that?
I don't see why not.
Then I need a motion because that is a budget item. So I think that you need to do a motion that you would, you,
I mean, I've got no problem going again. I got no problem with that at all. I mean, Greg and I went down last year, and it was. Issue,
I won't be here.
okay,
I'll go get it.
okay, so we don't need to do a motion.
Motion, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, and
the notes left unturned, right?
yeah,
Done by volunteer representatives of the community.
and we'll take some pictures and send them.
Perfect.
Okay, we had some discussion on the tree removal on the woods. Or the wood that's left from the trees that are going to go down. So. There were some folks that wanted to go on the MR and take the marked trees down. But we have a big liability problem with that. Is that correct?
How about if we deal with this in your next bylaw? Can we do that? That
Okay.
would be the best way to talk
But
about
when
that
he
issue.
comes, if he comes next week or whatever, can he just buck it up and put it on the side of the road?
At this point in time, that's what I'm looking at, yes, I'm gonna talk with Aaron to do it that way, and then like I did say during the budget process, I think we need to look at other revenue sources and have a further discussion.
Okay,
But is it gonna get left on the side of the road, or is Aaron gonna take it down to Jack's Pond?
We'll do one process first, and if it doesn't get removed within a certain time frame, we move it. And
Well,
stack
if
it.
it snows and, yeah, whatever.
But I'll talk with Aaron, see what we can do to make everything as best as possible and see what's gonna work.
Because don't we have a bylaw that any wood, didn't we set that bylaw, and make a motion? That any wood that was taken down in the village had to go to Jack's Pond?
I don't think it was a motion.
It wasn't a motion, it was a request back in the years. I would,
I remember that.
I do.
Yeah.
But I think there's other things that need to be discussed about, but right now, I think. When it comes to the tree stuff, let's move into
Okay,
Yep.
the bylaw part of it.
okay, so the CAO report is. There,
Oh, yes.
everybody
Yeah, I read it.
read it.
A couple of additions for you. So. Other than, okay, we've dealt with the green stuff. Dealt with the grant. Oh, just so you're aware, out of our development meeting. I have come up with a education process.
Alright, for hearing.
Okay. And this is now up on the website. We have created a development permit process overview. Come on in, Leanne, grab a seat. So just so that everybody's well aware about development permits. When your application is submitted and based on the Municipal Government Act, section 6831. Initial review for completeness is within 20 days of receipt. Applicants may be contacted to obtain additional information before it's deemed complete. So that's the MGA requirements. 20 days at first for us to be able to go through and realize, is the application complete? Okay,
20 days.
20 days, this is Municipal Government Act. Okay, under review, that's when we're doing the review, and the review for the Development Authority reviews the application against land use file, municipal development plan. And other applicable, my word, yeah, statutory documents such as Buffalo Lake IDP and all that stuff. So. My concern is, and I feel what you guys get out there, but again, you gotta start steering people towards us. Because it's, you can't put an application in 5 days because you scheduled a contractor to come in, it isn't gonna happen and it's gotta stop. Then there's the decision process, so notice of approval or refusal to applicant within 40 days. Of the application being deemed complete, so now that's 60 days. Okay, there's an education process that has to happen because this is what I have been getting very frustrated with within the community is. This isn't being held to be accountable and people are getting annoyed with us when they have no right to be annoyed when we're following the procedure.
So how do we get that out to the public? Just like through newsletter?
We're putting it in the newsletter, I posted it on the website already. And I think then it's 21 days after the approval.
Can we put that on our bulletin board with us?
If you want a big one, I will make you copies.
Well, I think we should, because this has been an ongoing issue for how many years now?
But I think it's just because I have to get you guys to understand,
Yeah.
we have municipal government requirements. No matter what you feel,
Yeah.
or you turn around and put out there, this is what we have to meet.
Well, we have to
And
explain
we
to
need
people
to-
that it's not your fault because it's not out there, they can't look at it.
We need the support of you guys directing these people to us so that we can answer the questions, we'll deal with the frustration because we have no choice, let's see, Municipal Government Act states it this way.
Well,
So in actuality, it becomes an 80-day process. You cannot do things in 5 days, impossible.
well, they gotta be schooled on what's gonna happen here. It's. Yeah, no, I agree.
So I just want you guys to understand that you have to start supporting that this is the legislation. And I know they're directing to us. Cut the conversation and direct them to us.
Okay.
Make sense?
Done deal.
Makes sense.
And that's it for my report.
Sorry, we need to accept council, see if request was presented.
I'll make that
Anyone?
motion.
Okay,
All in favor?
Yeah.
now we're gonna move into in camera briefly.
Yeah, let's go directly in camera.
Do to make a motion?
Actually, if you guys would motion to go into camera,
Okay, hold on.
to move in camera up to now,
Yeah.
who's doing the motion?
Sure.
All in favor?
Yes,
So, yeah, to go in camera to discuss
Okay,
the
so
three
I will
items.
put everyone on Zoom into the waiting area.
Yeah,
And then when we're done in camera session, then I will invite them in if they're still there.
yeah, and Leanne will be going in with us too in camera.
Put in the waiting area. Come on. Sorry. My mouse is slow from back here.
It's 3D.
I know, I'm trying. The mouse has a delay. Zoom has a delay apparently today.
I would say. You're missing one Pauline at the top.
No, Pauline's Bob.
Oh, okay, sorry, Bob.
somehow the Zoom's under her name now. It used to be under mine, but now it's under hers, so that's okay.
There was a Jim Bolton. What are those two?
Jim is Jim Mark. Why won't they, I told these all to go.
Oh, okay.
I said go in, come on. It's normally not that bad of a process, but it is today. And I need to just pause this for now. So today, I don't know why, okay. Okay, your motion coming back.
Okay, motion to come out of camera is made by.
Sure.
Okay. At follow lead. And then your first motion. So we had moved by a councillor or mayor of choosing to approve acceptance of the CCC inspection of Buffalo Lake Ranch Estates Phase 2 remediation work, and municipality can sign off and effective August 28th, 2023, and begin the 2-year warranty period ending August 28th, 2025, based on the FACC. Let's put your name on it. No,
Get rid of the based on the BCC.
okay, removing based on the FCC. Okay,
No.
okay, moved by Mayor Thurston, there you go.
So your development now is. Accepted and becomes yours.
So we vote on that, I agree.
Yeah, everybody's in favor.
Okay, now you move back to 9. Business.
Okay, what's going on with D,
With who?
D and, or,
I just, my mouse is on it.
oh,
That's fine.
Okay, so, business. The drainage plan
We already dealt with that,
and the,
so motion to accept that as. Information, because you had your presentation and gave guidance.
okay,
What's the?
I'll make that,
Okay, motion. Not just. Moved by Mayor Thurston to accept Aptus technical memo community master drainage plan as information.
all in favor?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So the next one we had is, we missed it with. Phase 2. Was not put in a development agreement. For signage. For the signage in front of everybody's place for emergency vehicles. So what this basically is gonna do is make the. Bylaw that has to go in any future. Subdivision agreement, because it's really quite expensive.
So we're
And
gonna,
it'll also,
so we're gonna pay for phase 2 because this agreement wasn't in, like when the sign, we're gonna do the signs for that.
well, this is really your guys' choice. Once you put this bylaw into place, this is your call. You have done the rest of the municipality with signage. My concern moving forward is your costs, budgetary wise, maintenance wise. Without this bylaw, you're doing everything. You're replacing signs and they're not cheap and they're getting more expensive every day. Every year, it costs more and more. Some people aren't managing their signs properly. And so this sets a standard of what you're having in your municipality. And if you wish to budget for your phase, the Buffalo Road phase 2, because you've accepted the CC. Then that would be what you'd need to do a resolution on, because there is a cost to this and you don't have a budget for it. Or you can turn around and just, the standards are set and owners are responsible and these are the guidelines.
Well, I think that we should do it for phase 2 and then we should pay for the signage for phase 2 and then put this bylaw through for future developments so that people know when they're going into it that that's part of the cost or whatever. But I think these people bought their lots expecting the signs to be put in for them.
We just missed that one, that's all, right?
Yeah, and you can do a resolution for that.
I know that we didn't have it for phase 1 because we didn't have signage, so it's kind of in between things.
Yeah.
But it is like the first route that we went with the signage, I think it was around $30,000.
It's not cheap doing these signages, and that's why this bylaw sets out now that the property owner shall maintain the address number in good condition, shall not cause or allow the visibility of the address number sign to become obscured from the road. So it starts putting the maintenance and all that stuff onto the properties moving forward.
So
I
if they
think
need-
moving forward, that's okay, but I think we should. I think we owe it to the people in phase 2 to put signs up there, in my
Well,
opinion.
it's good, it's the main priority is for emergency, but it's also good for people. To identify as far as maybe visitors or also. For our inspection of lots. I know sometimes Lisa had some problems with what lot was what, but this corrected the whole thing.
Yes.
And that's a piece of the other puzzle is that this. Inspection is so important.
Yes. But I like that because there are some people that aren't being nice to their signs. And this now puts the onus onto them that you are responsible. So we end up having to take a look and send a notice to them. And they don't respond and we replace it, we can charge it back onto the property owner. Bylaw would be
Could that
this.
go through? If they don't pay it, can it?
Then it would be transferred to a tax roll.
Just like RV permits.
So this is like setting things up for in the future now, and then any new developments will be required. To actually have this put on.
Yeah, I think that's fair because they know going in that they're gonna have to pay for that, right? And they make that decision based on that. They make their financial decisions based on that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
And the signs have to be identical to what we have in the village and the whole schmear.
Yes, so it
Yeah,
sets your
it's set
standard.
out in there that it's blue background with white writing or whatever, right?
And it's not as though like if they need a new sign, we can order it and then they can just pay for it, you know, whatever.
Exactly,
So we don't have a bunch of different signs like Alberta Traffic Supplies, maybe these ones.
yeah,
So we can go that way.
but this also allows for those people that say they like to shop around, the standard is this.
Yeah.
It must be done to this standard. Which sets it so you've got everything consistent.
Okay, sounds good.
So 2 motions on this?
Yes, first would be
Approve to purchase the first civic address signage for Buffalo Lake Estate Phase 2.
I would
What do you want?
say you're going to approve that to go into your 2024 budget.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, do you want it in 24 budget?
Because we don't have a budget for it right now.
So for purchase for in the 2024 budget.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it a separate?
I didn't really have it, I said that you would have to do this. Because we don't have a budget for it, I know I've checked into it. But we need to have a budget number for it.
Okay,
So moved by Councilor Mayor to approve in the 2024 budget to purchase the first civic address signage for Buffalo Lake Estates Phase 2.
Yes.
I'll do that.
Yep. We have to do that. Should have been in there.
Sure, been
I don't know.
signage paid, oh, I don't have the page number. It's long.
As long as I got it.
And then what I'm looking for is first reading for sure. So that this bylaw can be out there. Second reading if you wish.
Yes, I got it.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So if you're okay with the bylaw itself, I would be looking for first reading.
Sorry, pardon me?
It just needs a first reading.
Okay, so we need to make a motion that we will accept first reading.
Who wants to do the 2024 budget to purchase some signage? Do finish that one off first.
I will make a motion that we provide the signage for, we go in the 2024 budget to make a approved signage for Buffalo Ranch Estates 2.
Phase 2, okay. So that's Bob. Everyone,
All in favor?
okay, and then your next one for this would be motion to approve bylaw number, motion to do first reading for bylaw number 19723.
Yep.
Okay,
So if there's any anything that, if you go through this again, this addressing bylaw, then you can bring it to us
next meeting.
next meeting and we can make changes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't see
So-
anything on that one that I wanted to make changes on.
Okay.
this allows time for amendments. And you can do if your penalties, if you don't like that, that's up to you guys to change that. Kept it pretty simple.
Okay, so now 1.3,
That's fine.
Yes,
use of public land, so what was proposed was to put in Jack's Pond, make the skating
No.
for the
No.
curling.
No, that's later.
that's not it, that's later.
Well, I got this.
This is the new bylaw. Of what is expected.
Yeah,
that you
this
can't
is,
do public lands, so MR. And all that.
so been getting lots of interesting things. So what kind of happens is you've got land within the municipality, your utility lots, your stormwater management, environmental reserve, natural areas and all that stuff. All your easements within your village is kind of considered public land, right? It's your municipal reserve, your environmental reserve. And there's no standard laid out. And we've been having issues with, one of them is the tree stuff and people wanting to cut trees in the reserve and stuff, so. This bylaw kind of lays everything out. And sets up a standard now that. Where authorization can come from, what you will be looking at in your considerations of an authorization. So this is gonna start giving you some ways to actually deal with these things instead of letting it go. Well, so-and-so got permission because so-and-so's always done it. You can set a standard. So that you start treating any of these requests as not individual. But how, if you're gonna do it, how does it work for the whole? And then the impacts are there. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
It should. I think it's just getting more and more important that. Everything is constant, because, years ago it wasn't. Because.
That's right.
And it was a different perception than. What could be done and what was acceptable, and it was different from. One ratepayer to the next sometimes,
And some of the issues we're running into the ATVs on the walking trails, which is public land. So we have nothing to deal with these things, so now this starts laying out a standard where. No person shall use the public land for parking or temporary storage of any vehicle, whether operable, inoperable, and it just goes on and on and on. So now you've got something that you can turn around and say, you know what, it's in a bylaw. It's not allowed.
Yeah, and this will also back up the community standards
Yes.
bylaw as well, but it just
Yes.
makes it more. If you have to end up in court or something, it makes it more, easier.
Yeah, so this bylaw, I think we need it. There was some wording in this bylaw that I wanted, that I just some more, just a few little things or something that it, just logistics, right? It wasn't anything that I disagree with the bylaw. It's just there was a few things that I thought the wording I was looking at, just changing a couple of things,
Okay, yeah.
So
And that's
I don't want
why-
to fully pass this one today, because there's a few, we can do first reading, but there's a few issues and stuff in wording that I'd like to just sort of look at. Like for instance, just I know in like 3.4F it says detention ponds, and I think that would be retention ponds.
Oh, yeah, you'd be right.
So there was just a few things like that I saw when I was reading this.
No, I see what you're saying. That's perfect. And that's what the amendment, that's why you only first reading just starts putting the bylaw. Amendments can be made right up until final reading.
Yeah.
Any other tweaks? Email me, I can fix it.
Yeah, I'll go through it today and let you know.
But otherwise, I think this is starting to move us in that direction of now we can start taking our ideas and having some way to be able to start laying down the groundwork. Also with the shoreline management plan, that supposedly, if that's what we're required to do to get our licensing, this is gonna help us to keep moving things forward.
Yeah, that's one part of it as well, is that if. We allow storage on municipal property, you just have to have a section like in community standards that says without written permission kind of deal.
Just make one
It
change.
actually has it right here that if you give consent to something, now you can turn around and set, what's your parameters? If you get a request like that, so you can set the parameters to make it even across the board. And then you can have accountability at the same time, which is what we have been lacking, is we have no accountability anymore. And I like that. Like, you can set your guidelines, okay, yes, you are gonna allow so many docks on the municipal reserve within a certain area, and the timeframe's only this, and this must be removed. And if not, all costs incurred will be on the burden of the taxpayer, right? So then you start setting a standard across the board, so that it's not willy-nilly anymore.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier when you have these documents, because otherwise it's just kind of automatically turns into a dispute between the village and the owner of the property or the equipment that's there.
Yeah, or this way we'll alleviate these disputes, and this is what's gonna happen, and if there is a dispute, it's totally done. Costs on you, I don't know, but that was just. Don't go there.
So we're doing the first reading today.
So first reading on that,
Yeah, that's good.
okay, all in favor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bob did first reading?
Okay. Here.
Yes, this one we have to do. This was one of the outstanding conditions on our map review back in 2021, which never got done.
Well,
So now I'm doing it.
we had the contract.
Yeah, the contract is one thing, but you need a bylaw. Otherwise, you're not in compliance, so we have a bylaw now. On if there's disputes against our bylaw enforcement, and you have to have some rules.
Okay, so did this come from another community?
You betcha.
Okay.
I'm not gonna reinvent the wheel that's already been invented.
Yeah, that, I was thinking the same thing, that you'd just borrow this from someone else, right?
Yes.
Some other summer village, you betcha.
Okay, we'd like to do this, then second reading,
So what's the first reading? Who wants to do first?
I'll do the first.
Okay. You approve
All
the
in
first?
favor?
All right.
Yeah,
The first reading.
I'm in favor.
Okay. And then which councillor or mayor to approve the second reading of the youth, bylaw enforcement officer bylaw. 1923.
Just a second,
Yeah.
yeah, and all in favor?
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is another one we should go through. Before next meeting.
I didn't see any anything on that one that I disagreed with or changes.
It's a pretty standard, it just lays out the policy if somebody files a complaint against them. How we have to proceed.
Okay. So now we're going into,
We have procedural bylaw.
So you're gonna write that up for us, Melissa, and that's something that we're talking about?
Yes. Yes, so basically you guys are in favor of administration doing a review and bringing recommendations to tighten it up?
Yes.
This is for procedural bylaw?
Yes.
So do we make a motion that the administration put together a recommendations for a procedural bylaw and bring it to us in a future council meeting?
To the next council meeting. With recommended changes to tighten the procedural bylaw. And do you want it noted in regards to delegations?
yeah,
I'd like delegations and, yeah,
timelines.
Okay,
I think there, like, if it was such a simple thing that was already a practice within the village, but hasn't been implemented, that would be a little bit different from a delegation. But it doesn't happen very often. Usually you just handle it through the office, right?
well, some people just want to come to council. My concern that I have is, there's too much to drop in and expecting to be a delegation last minute. I'd like to tighten that up, that you must notify me if you wanna speak to council. That's a delegation.
Yeah,
If you wanna attend council to observe, that is fantastic. We have that through our Zoom. But there has to be an understanding of, do you want them to be allowed to speak into, or we need to have a format of how they actually can address you. If there's an issue, not just jumping in. Does that make sense?
yeah.
So I have to instruct administration to review and make recommendations to tighten the procedural bylaw, 171-23 sections, delegations and timelines. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm in favor.
Now you can go into Jack's Pond, it's all there.
Okay. So the pond is obviously dry. So I was approached first, and then there was a meeting in the office here with administration about putting used bale wrap and or silage wrap, I guess, in as a base in Jack's Pond for the curling and skating rink. And the issues that are there is environment. It's actually an ER, environmental reserve. And I said to the folks, all you need is one person to phone environment hotline and you're in deep trouble. As well as in the springtime, what damage is going to be getting it out of there, and is it going to be done? So it's a big issue. So I guess we have to make a decision.
I did offer some alternatives. They were taken. So the alternative site was, if you wanted to use the plastic, because we finally got Gazebo Hill parking lot leveled out and seeded. I thought that wouldn't be that much of an issue if you wanted to lay the tarp down there, and then you could get it cleaned up because it's not a water-based area that's gonna hold a lot of water retention.
It's pretty curvy, like we'll thing.
Yeah. So I did offer that for the curling thing. For skating, well, it could just go down in front of the hall on the lake. Pond skating is pond skating.
That's what we did before. We used to take the tractor down and skating rink there and you know, a loop around. The only issue that we ever had was that if that was that a snow machine hit the bank of snow and she went over sideways and was hurt. So there could be some marking in the winter, or, you know, dark hours, I don't know. But that was just.
I think the bale wrap thing is a bad idea, personally. You know,
Well, it's environmental reserve and.
I just don't think it's, you know, if all of a sudden we get a big snowpack and it melts there and the pond's got 2 feet of water, how are we getting that stuff out of there?
That was the concern and liability risk that I kind of thought about and put into your package, that what happens And then what happens to the environmental risk, because now you're gonna become very, very liable.
Yeah. I mean, we can't. Control Mother Nature. And there's a lot of things that have to change because of the situation we're in here. And this is probably gonna be one of them.
Yeah, we're in a drought and we all got, it creates lots of different issues, right? And that's just one of them, and it's something that we can't control and we have to deal with, or just live with, I guess.
Yeah, it's the same as the boat launch not working.
Yeah, it's kind, yeah, it's kind of in the same category there, isn't it?
Like, do I think the municipality should make a rink down below? I think it could be something you guys could discuss, but it needs to be a budgetary item,
Budgetary thing.
and we don't have a budget
And
at this point.
the thing is, when we did it before, we had that old Ford tractor. That Neil Walker used to run, and that thing was a whole different ballgame than this John Deere. Cause it was much heavier.
And that's why I said this would be a budget discussion, because you have to take a look at, do you have the right equipment, do you have to purchase extra equipment? All that kind of stuff, so at this point in time. I think unless you guys want to, when we go into budget deliberations, have that discussion and decide if you. Are even thinking about it, want it added. We could go there, but at this point in time, I think we just have to decide what you wanna do here with this situation.
Just single it out, this decision here,
Yes,
don't single out, what we wanna do in the future yet.
that's right, until you get into your budgets. You can talk about that.
Well, number one, I think. That white plastic. What's the reasoning for it? So. They can produce ice. With straight snow, it's that plastic,
Yeah.
it's done before. I mean, as far as the issue of. Using plastic to me is. No, my issue is, how much money we're gonna spend on water.
About $200
It's
last.
about $200 last year, so you can say
That's it?
somewhere,
Yes.
well, this is from purchasing. You don't forget, you had the well down below,
Yeah.
but I can't guarantee that with drought conditions, I don't know where that's at this point. So last year's approximation was $200 purchasing, it could be double that this year, depending on the well that's down there.
It's certainly doable without the plastic, as far as I'm concerned, I mean. There's an environmental concern, not just trying to get it out of there.
Well, I guess I'm wondering what,
We don't know what's living underneath that slough bottom right now, I mean, there's muskrats that build homes underneath all that stuff, and you lay that dirt down. How the hell do they get out of there?
That's your environmental issues.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
guess
you know,
ultimately, I think we say no, and they're gonna have to look for alternatives, whether. I mean, it's a pond bottom already, I mean, if we get a good snowpack and it melts a bit. Or they hose some water in there, what do you need? What do you need to line it with a tarp?
That's how you make curling ice without a cement floor. You freeze it in.
Yeah. So I think we say no to them.
We just need a motion then and.
So I have counselor to deny the use of bale or silage, vinyl wrap, or any plastics as a liner on dry wetland for the winter season for the use of curling and ice skating in Jack's Pond.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Because you're denying it.
You think that's the right decision?
I give you my recommendation,
Yeah.
and send it to deny.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Sure.
the
7.
the addition, all provided funding. with the box.
Yeah.
And have it here, just give me a second.
So the Hall Society wants to do like a refresh of the hall, and I think they've got $1,600 or something in the bank they're holding for us or something. And they want another 3,000, so they want $4,600 to do. And I'm not sure exactly what a refresh, I'm assuming that means paint and blinds and stuff like that. I guess from my point of view is we haven't budgeted for this year, so I think we have to, if we're looking at anything like that, that has to be something that would be put in the 2024 budget. And if we're gonna do it, I'd like it itemized, right? I need sort of an itemized thing where, you know, it's so much for painting, so much for blinds, so much for whatever, right?
Yeah, and I guess another thing is, we really. It's kind of a late, request, but also, if it is. Done, what happens? If a year or two, there's an addition on there and then. The blinds won't match, and maybe the color would be off, and we don't know. Is it gonna be professionally painted or are they gonna do it? I'm just not sure. Maybe there's just not enough information, but there's always a. Like it was just. Painted not that long ago, really.
Administration, based on what was submitted. Would, if we don't have a budget. Would recommend. Not approving the 3,000. Council may. Approve the other spending if you wish, or you can deny all of it. Because it wasn't budgeted for. And you should have prior notice of this kind of stuff, so you can actually properly budget for it. Also,
Yeah, and I guess the plan and what is gonna. How it's gonna be done too,
yes, yeah,
yeah.
So. I don't know whether we need a motion for that or whether we just sort of say that we would like to. That. You just make a note that we're going to maybe revisit this in the new year.
they've told you when they want this, they wanna do it now, so.
Yeah, well, but I don't,
You should
I don't
do-
think we're ready to do it now. I don't think we have the. I don't think we have the enough information right now, and it wasn't in this year's budget.
So your motion should be based around exactly what you're trying to say here, and that they provide a proper proposal. Itemized for 2024 budget deliberations.
Yes,
Yeah,
So I'm gonna have any, okay, I had to read that, so any additional funds will not be issued from municipality for the 2023 budget. So it stands off Friday and could be considered for the 2024 budget for approval with itemized. With an itemized list.
Okay, your first part is way too wordy.
Okay. Oh, well. And,
I think it should be motion to deny the Hall Society's request
to
for
refresh.
funding for small renovations of the hall. From the municipality.
it would be you're too close together, it's for small renovations. It's for small renovations of the hall. So we're just, okay, so to deny the Hall Society's request for small renovations in the hall.
To deny any municipal funding.
Okay, thank you, to deny. Any municipal. And then. To the Hall Society's. Request for small renovations in the hall.
And that the Hall Society can provide a proper proposal itemized for consideration for the 2024 budget. For council review of 2024 budgets.
Yeah,
We want to just make it concise, you're denying, and this is what you want.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, but we're not releasing the 1690,
You're not releasing any
and
funds,
it's just double checking on that one, so.
no funding.
Okay, so moved by Councillor Mayor to deny any municipal funding to the Hall Society's request for small renovations in the hall. And that the Hall Society can provide a proper proposal that is itemized for council to review in the 2024 budget meetings.
I don't,
2024 budget
maybe not a
considerations.
proper proposal, maybe something like a full proposal or something like that.
Okay, yeah, we definitely do a full proposal.
Yep, anyway, anything to tell them, it must have more detail.
Yeah.
And a little more notice.
Yeah,
yeah,
Well, you're telling them right now.
okay.
proposal, and you wanna add and more notice?
Well,
No,
Or just
no.
leave it as is?
no, that's because that's.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want a submission deadline?
No. Well, I guess if it's gonna be in the 2024 budget, right?
So it must be submitted before December 31st.
You submitted before December, you said December 31st?
Yeah, because you're gonna go right into budgets in January.
Yep. Okay. So I'll read it again, to deny any municipal funding to the Hall Society's request for small renovations in the hall. And that the Hall Society can provide a full proposal that is itemized for council to review in the 2024 budget considerations. And it must be submitted before December 31st, 2023.
Sound good?
Yeah,
Hey,
Okay,
I'll make that motion.
okay,
In favor?
Yes,
now we got, now we got 12.
no, 10.
Oh, did I miss 10?
Okay, so correspondence, we'll just quickly go through this. Or just, there's just the minutes from the ambulance. And the Shirley McClellan Water Commission. Stettler Regional Library System. Has 2 entries there. And then the last one would be the tribunal for the bar W. So that is gonna be October 26th, 23.
In the deadline that you have to provide all your documentation if you're willing to speak, and I mean everything, and you will be drilled back and forth. Is the 19th.
Tomorrow.
Yep.
But you can still watch it,
Oh,
yeah,
yes, you can watch.
and there's, was there a deadline for registration to sign up? I don't know.
I don't think so, because it is a public meeting law. It's just if you wish to talk,
And so,
that's what I got out of it. There's so much stuff in this.
I wouldn't mind sitting in on that.
Yeah, I don't mind watching it.
It could be very educational.
To see it all in the process. I'm curious, I've never seen one before.
So would this be like the municipal board?
This is the provincial government board.
Okay, so that's the one that deals with intermunicipal disputes and the whole schmear.
This is your land and property rights tribunal, this is where it goes, when you have a dispute, they file it with the provincial government.
Okay. Okay, so. That's,
So we're gonna put the correspondence of information,
yeah,
who's gonna put to it?
then it's your turn.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
and adjournment
Adjournment
at 12:51.
too late.
And your next meeting is November 15th.
Yes.
Okay, well, thanks very much, you guys.